Hello. Okay, we are on. We're live. I'm just gonna get everything set up and make sure that it's running properly. Give me 1 second. If you have any questions or anything at any time, just let me know. We'll do a Q&A session at the very end, but you can always post the question now, and we'll make sure to hit it at the very end. Okay. Just trying to get all my pages sorted. Okay, we are live. I'm going to just screen share my slides with you guys. Okay, so today we're talking about branding. What is branding? People keep talking about branding and how it must be so important, and branding must be my logo, right? Just my logo and some colors, that's my brand. Well, today we're going to talk about how a brand is so much more than just your logo and your colors. A brand it's just goes so much deeper. It's everything that you put out whenever you're talking about your business, or not even about your business, but just you know that you're being perceived as the businesswoman or man, if it may be. Do we have Tennille? Hello, Tennille.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm great. Okay, I'm just going to get into some basics of branding, and then we'll talk about our voice and our messaging in our copy. So we'll get to chat with you in a little bit, okay?
Cool.
Perfect. I'm just making sure I'm on the right screen. There we go. So we're going to talk about what is a brand and how it's not just a logo. We're going to talk a bit about your personality and the vibe of a brand. And we'll jump right into the copy and how your brand message carries across all different kinds of platforms, whether it's visual or written, in how you speak in Facebook conversations. It's everywhere. And then we'll have a bit of a Q&A session right at the very end. So what is branding? People often say that branding is their logo. And if I have a logo, then I must have a brand. And to get a brand, all I need to do is get a logo. A logo is just one small piece. It's like the tip of the brand. It's just the beginning and the base. You might call it the foundation of your brand, but it's just one part of it. A logo is usually a name or a symbol, maybe both. It's the simplest form of your business or your business name, and it's easily recognizable. A brand, however, is the sum of everything. It is everything that you put out there, whether it's your logo, your copy, your colors, your fonts, like I said, your messaging across Facebook, your emails, your signature. It's everything put together. Everything of that is your brand, and the logo is simply one piece. A brand is the feeling that someone gets when they speak to you or see something that you're putting out there. It's the price tag, the products themselves, the packaging, the customer service, your promise to the customer. It's everything. And that's what I think a lot of people don't get. That they get confused on is that a logo must be the brand. But really, a logo is just one little piece, whereas the sum of everything is your brand. A brand's vibe. So what on earth is a vibe? A brand is not a person, so how could it have a personality or a vibe? Well, I like to think about your brand as a person anyway. And whenever I work with new clients on branding, I always ask them that question. And sometimes it trips them up a little bit because they've never thought of their brand as a person before. But if you want to think about your brand as like a character, are they male or female? Are they loud or outgoing, or are they quiet? Are they approachable? Are they confident and bold, or are they more understated and just there when you need them? And people respond to other people, and that's why I think having a brand or thinking about your brand as a person or having a personality is a good way to figure out where you want to go with your brand and how you want to be perceived, because people need to connect with you and your brand when they see whatever you're putting out there, whether it's your email or your social media posts or your website. They need to have a connection, and the best way to do that is to elicit a vibe from that brand. We will go into the message and voice, and right before we get Tennille to talk to us a little bit, Tennille, correct me if I'm wrong. From my perspective, every brand has a voice, and you might not even know it yet, but anything you put out there is part of your brand's voice. And what you need to do is figure out what that message is that you want to put out, and be more aware of it in your email and your website copy and everything that you put out. What do you think? Tell me about what your perspective is on copy and your messaging with your brand.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, every piece of you, every piece of your identity is put out there every time you write a post, every time you comment on other people's posts, whether it be on Facebook or on a forum or on another person's blog post. That is part of your brand. If people Google you, if people Google you and it will come up, that is part of your brand connected to your website. So your brand message is your big idea put out into the world, and how your service or product make the world that much better. So be mindful of what you value in your personal life, because it does seep into your professional life, and people connect on a value to value basis, as opposed to, okay, cool, that's a nice logo, I'm going to work with you. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, people connect to feelings and emotion, and that's why you want to, get deeper with your own, you want to put yourself into your brand. You want to not just be a robot or this faceless company.
Yeah.
Your brand message is so important. And do you have any tips on how people can even figure out what their message is? How would they know where to even start with a message for their brand?
That's a good question. I would start with asking yourself a couple questions about your brand or about yourself. And questions I would ask is, what is it about my product or service that makes it unique? That's one, because you want to differentiate yourself from the competition or the other people in the industry. Another thing is, where do I create value? How are you adding to conversations? How are you adding to your market? Another thing is, what is my vision? Every company, business person has a vision, and you need to be very clear on what your vision is. And I'd also
goal, or what would you clarify a vision as? Something more deeper than a goal? What?
Deep, yeah, most definitely a vision is deeper than a goal. It is where you see your business 5-10 years from now. Having laid out that timeline on where you see it going, who you see helping in the future, and is your brand global or local? Those things matter. It's bigger than the day-to-day. You want to see yourself further down the line.
Right. And I think also, like you just said, whether your brand is global or local, your messaging might be different if it's, local to your community versus whether it's, international.
Yeah.
And there's so many different people around the world, and it's not that you have to change who you are, but it's important to keep that in the top of your mind, that you're trying to connect with people. You're not just selling a product or selling a service. You're trying to connect with somebody. Do you think that, copy and anything you write is, first or last? What? I know that you're a copywriter, and so I totally think that copywriting is so important. I've had a lot of people comment on, when I've had copywriting done, I've had a lot of people comment on how, it's just nails that kind of vibe that I want to put out there. And do you have any tips for someone if they can't afford a copywriter? How can they, really get their message and their voice out there if they don't really know how to write? Any tips?
Absolutely. So let me give you some context before I give the tip.
Sure.
I went to this website. I mean, it was a really, I don't know if I can curse on here, but it was a really shitty website. I mean, the design was horrible.
Yeah.
There was no logo. There was no kind of quote unquote branding of color,
Right.
type font, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I found myself reading the whole website. And how did that happen? How did I end up reading the whole website, even though it was unappealing to even be?
Visually, yeah.
Yeah, unappealing visually to be there? It's because they were themselves. They put themselves on the paper,
In the words, right?
on their website. They put
Yeah.
themselves there, and I felt like I was having a conversation with them. Like they were in the room with me, and we're having a conversation.
Right.
So the tip I would give is, if you're not a good writer, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
it matters in some sense, but if you got the basis of what copy is, and copy really is having a conversation. So think about when you're sitting down with your friends or family in casual interactions, you
Mhm.
wouldn't talk to them as if you were selling them something.
Right, exactly. That would be a terrible conversation.
Exactly. It's super weird.
Yeah, super
So
awkward.
you would
Totally.
talk to them naturally. You would have, little stories of things that have happened to you,
Yeah.
and, try to make that connection. You would do the same thing with the words on your website.
And similarly, in conversations on Facebook and whatnot, you want to build that engagement, and that part of growing relationships and building your business is writing to connect and have questions for people and have them tell you stories, right? It's not
Yeah.
just about you, word vomiting out there. You want to have
Absolutely.
good engagement, right? Do you have any tips on how, or any ideas on how you would differentiate website copy from social media copy? Or do you think they're more one and the same? Or what's your take on that?
You see, with social media, I think you have an opportunity to really be yourself. Because it's a lot less pressure on social media to be professional and, know your stuff. And like you said, we're just connecting. We're having casual conversation. It's like meeting for, coffee at Starbucks. That's what I look at social media as.
Yeah.
It's like the water cooler.
Yeah.
And then online on your website, you get to be yourself as well. But now here's really show how you know your stuff and how you can
Right.
help that person.
Yeah.
So that's how I would separate it. But it's pretty much the same, like underlaying same way how you would speak, but on your website, that's where you really get to show your stuff.
And I've got this quote from I saw it from you. I've seen it as well elsewhere, which is your vibe attracts your tribe. And I love that because the whole point is to be yourself and, be you and speak like you're, a human talking to another human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just a robot. And that's one of my favorite quotes recently, which is just to be yourself. And I know a lot of people ask me questions on, how do I make my post look professional on Facebook, or how do I don't know what to write on my website. You need to just start writing and just type it. Like, just be yourself. Like, you don't have to worry about you don't want to convince people to buy your product. You just want to build the relationship and show them that you do know your stuff. And then when they are ready, they'll come to you because they built that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any tell us about your brand and how we were working together on your brand and your colors and kind of that overall look. And can you tell us a little bit about how you took that once we worked together and put it into your own, social media graphics and whatever you put out there?
Well, I mean, first of all, I was begging for some kind of direction in terms of what colors resonated with my brand, and having static colors and type font that represented my values and represented my message. And I mean, my message is pretty simple. I like to inspire greatness in women, and I want to help them put themselves on paper so that selling is painless.
Right.
And it's more of attracting than selling. Like you were saying, it's you're just connecting. And I want every woman that works with me, when I work on their copy, is that they feel legendary.
Right.
They feel like when they read their own stuff, they're like, man, yes, I'm going to go out there and wreck stuff up. Like, I'm going to be the best.
Right.
So I would say that was, that was helpful in how I could package everything so that when people saw whatever I put on social media, it screamed what I was about.
And I know for me, I mean, I am a branding person, so I do kind of pick up on consistency in branding and how, your photos are not all identical, but they do have the overall look that's consistent, whether it's the color or the style of the photo, or I know you have your signature on some of them. Like there's a consistency across there. And have you noticed any sort of is it easier for you, for example, to have that consistency once you've got that brand to put the consistency across anything you put out?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's super easy now that I know what my brand message is. Like, I know it. Yeah. Before I was struggling, and now I know it to a T that, finding pictures or finding quotes that I relate to, I know is going to resonate with my ideal client as well, because we have the same values. So it's really easy for me to pinpoint what I'm going to put out in social media.
Totally. Do you want to do a little promo about anything that you've got going on right now? Any copywriting things that you're working on, or any sales you've got for anyone?
Well, I do have a guest posting guide coming out. I've gotten a lot of questions in regards to how to be known as an expert, and I think it really lends to putting your message out there. And it's another way of putting your brand message out there, because you now become a thought leader. Yeah. And you can put your message out there on a higher platform, and you build your online presence. So right. I definitely have a e-guide coming out about guest posting and how to land the guest post, from Huffington Post to what's it called? Business Insider, entrepreneur.com, like all those big sites.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited about that. And pardon?
I said, when will that come out?
Very soon. I'm just putting the finishing touches on it, and then I'm gonna put it up.
Awesome. It's always so important to be like you said, have your online presence. Like, you don't want to just post, on a blog once every few months, or post on social media once every month or two. You want to be consistent, be regularly posting on there. The beginning of building your presence is just to be there. And, right. And if people, if your brand is not quite clear, and your message is not quite clear, and your copy changes all the time, people won't recognize you, because you'll seem like a different person or a different business every time you post. So I think having the color scheme or the brand messaging across your copy and all that is so important to be consistent, to be recognized, and then to build your business.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm doing a branding course that is, the cart closes in 1 week from tomorrow. It's 8 weeks to build your own brand. Because I know I've got a lot of people who they want to build a brand, and they know it's important, but they don't quite either know how to do it, or they love to do it themselves and they don't want to hire anyone to do it. And they just want to learn, the basics about branding, and get really in there about what is branding, and how do I do it, and how do I even choose colors and copy, and how do I know what kind of voice I want to put out there. So I've got this course. We start in a week and a half on the 26th of October, and it's $397, which is a steal compared to everything that you get in there. And I've got a promo code put up for today until midnight, BYOB, for Build Your Own Brand. If you put that in there, the price will come down from $397 down to $297. So anyone that's watching the webinar right now can get that for $100 less, up till midnight tonight. I'll have that out there. We've got a Q&A. Tennille, I'm just going to pull up and see can you see on your screen any questions, or is it just on mine? Do you know?
Where am I looking? Am I looking on the YouTube channel itself?
No, do you have the Google Hangout window up?
Yes. Okay.
I see a question under Q&A. I see a question that says, from Michelle, I get asked a lot by clients, how do you put yourself in your brand? Like, if you're playful or professional, especially if you're a lot of different things, how does that change your brand? I'll answer first, and if you want to give any other suggestions after that, that'd be great, Tennille. Oh, excuse me. With your brand, if you look at colors, there's a lot of psychology on what colors bring out different feelings or emotions from people. Red is kind of bold. Pink might be playful. Black is either, intense or high end. Sometimes you can look at black as dark and empty almost. It depends on how you use the color in your brand. In your copy, you can use, like, what kind of words can you use to differentiate your style, Tennille? How would you use copy differently to put your playfulness or your professionalism? Like, how do you differentiate that in your copy?
Well, I know whenever we speak, we always have certain words we always use. Right. We may be, sarcastic, or, we're really jokey, or we have a serious tone. That will always bleed through whenever you write. It will. You just have to put it out there. You just have to write. And I think a lot of people get stuck there and say, okay, well, how do I be this person? You already that person. You're already that person. Don't think about it. Just write. It will come out naturally.
It's funny, when I reply to comments or post on Facebook, or if I'm writing an email or anything, I've noticed this about myself. I will make little, I'll say something in my head that I think is funny, or I'll make a little smiley face or something with my vision. Like, I'll actually make that face, and I end up writing that in my email or in my comment. And so if you see me like with a little dance icon, because I'm usually dancing for real because I'm so excited about something, just to be you, and like, don't overthink, how do I choose the right colors? How do I choose the right copy? How do I choose the right font? Don't think about it. Just find what attracts you and put that out there. That's what I find is a good start, at least,
Yeah.
I've got another question. Do you create various templates with branding? I feel like it takes so much time to add branding to every element I post. So, well, like Tennille, like how you've done, I'm going to see if I can pull that up, actually. I'm going to give some of your examples, because I love how you've done your branding.
Okay, while you do that, I'll answer that question.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sure everyone's probably familiar with Canva by now, and Canva is like my go-to, and it already has templates set up in regards to how you like it. So now I can put my branding colors with the actual code in there, so that every time I'm making a post, it already has that color, already has the basic stuff, and I'm just either adding a different picture or the words. So that's how I do it very easily. Great point.
Yeah. That's a great idea, Canva. So this here is Tennille's branding guide that I did for you a few months ago. And what I love to see is you've got these same colors across all these pictures. And so they still feel like you. And like you said, in Canva. Did you make these in Canva?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Perfect. You just add your colors in. Oh, this one's one of my favorite with the photo of you. I always find that that's a good way, especially if you're branding personally, like to your name, if your business is your name. When you have photos of yourself, it adds that extra level to your brand.
That's actually a stock photo, but yeah, that can pass for me.
Oh, it's not you? Oh my God. I totally thought it was you.
Well, it can definitely pass for me, for sure. You have the same hair and everything.
Where? One of my favorite, this one's you for sure. I know that. Yeah, so I hope that answers that question. It's just about, being consistent, and like Tennille said, with Canva, it makes it really easy to be consistent. The templates are there, and you can add in your colors, right? From what
Absolutely.
Another question is, what is the biggest mistake in branding that you see, both visually and in writing? Oh gosh, the biggest mistake I see in branding, for me, the visual branding is, Michelle said, Tennille, I love your brand.
Thank you.
The biggest visual mistake I see in branding is not being consistent. I see people all the time putting, out these quotes or these ads or photos of themselves or photos, whatever they're putting out, but they add orange on one, and then blue on another, and then red on another, and then black and green on another, and the fonts are all different between all of them, and you only know it's from the same person because of the person's name on the post, right? You don't know that it's the same just by looking at the picture. So that's the biggest thing, is consistency across colors and fonts and just the overall look of it. You giggled a little bit about biggest mistake in writing. Do you have an answer for what's the biggest mistake that you see in branding with your writing?
Yeah, common mistakes with brand messaging I've seen is an individual trying to be all things at once, you know, trying to talk to everyone. I mean, you cannot talk to everyone. Like you're gonna miss your ideal client by trying to talk to everyone. You need to talk to one person, have them in your mind, know their name, know their bra size, like know what shoes they wear, what car they drive. You need to just talk to her, because when you're having a conversation, you're not talking to the whole cafe, you're talking to the person in front of you.
How awkward would that be, and how not special would they feel if you were going to meet someone up for coffee and then you're like, you stand up in the middle of the cafe and you talk to the whole room? He's not going to listen to you out of the door.
Yes. Yeah. Think about that every single time you're about to post, that if you start talking like you're talking to everyone else, you just stand on that cafe table and announcing to everyone, here's what I'm about.
Yeah, that person, your ideal client, is out of there. She's leaving. She's not going to stick around to hear what you have to say.
She thinks you're weird. She thinks you're weird, so she walked off.
Yeah, you're not paying attention to her, and that's, bad, bad, bad. I like there's a quote I heard about, if you try to attract everyone, you will attract no one. You need to find your ideal client and attract them.
Yep, spot on.
Awesome. So I don't see any more questions, so I think I'm good on my end. Thank you, Tennille, so much for being around. I'm so excited to get to talk to you and have you tell us more about how copy is part of your brand and how it's quite essential, like you said, about that website that looked terrible but still got you in there. Click through because of the copy. Yeah, so it's definitely a big part of branding. So thank you so much, Tennille.
Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed this. Let's do this again.
You were sweet, and it was good. It was really fun. We should do this again for sure. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna sign off, and we will talk later. I'll see you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.